All right, this is Coach Lebetter. I'm going to go over the Unit 2 review. All right, so the first couple of questions we're trying to identify if it's a function or not a function. All right, and so here we go. These are mapping diagrams. And so if you remember, there's a little saying that it does this x. This is the x side, and this is the y side. And so we want to know, does this x only go to one y? And the answer is yes. All right. And then do we ask this x? Does this x only go to one y? Yes. Does this x only go to one y? Yes, it does. And then does this x value go to only one y? And if you look, you'll see that this one actually goes to more than one y. Okay, so this is not a function. So if it goes to more, if x goes to more than one y, then it's not a function. Now, it doesn't matter if it goes to more than one. I mean, like if you have three different x's, like you see here, see how this b, these letters really represent like any number. Does this go to one y? Yes, but notice c goes, which is a different x, goes to the same value. And so it doesn't matter if y repeats, it only matters if x repeats. So the answer is not a function. All right, so look at this one. Does this x only go to one y? And you'll see yes. Does this x only go to one y? Yes. We don't care if it goes to the same one or not. Does this x only go to one y? Yes. Does this x only go to one y? Yes. So this is a function. All right, so how can you tell when you have a function or not with a relation? Remember, a relation is a set, and you can tell it's a set when you see a bracket. So if you see brackets, that means a set. All right, domain is our x values. So remember, when you have an ordered pair, the first one's an x, the second one's a y. So we're going to list out our domains. Now, they want you to put them in order from least to greatest. I will try to do my best since I'm doing this on a fly here. All right, so my first, and I'll just underline all the x values so I can see them a little better. All right, so I'm looking for my first domain, and it's a -5, so I'm going to put a -5 here. All right, my next one, and I'm going to mark this out because I've already done this. My next one is 0. And my next one is a 2. And then I have 2. Look at this. I have 2 of them that are 8s. Remember, when x repeats, it's not a function. So you see these two x's right here, this one and this one, they're both 8s. So this is not a function. So we already know that this one's not a function. All right, so I got to do the range. Now the range is my y values. All right, so try to remember that range is your y values. All right, so here we go. We got to go with smallest, of course. So we're looking at 2, 9, 7, 5, and 8. All right, so it looks like 2's my lowest. All right, so I'll mark that out so I don't get them mixed up. And 5 is my next lowest. Then it looks like 7, and then 8, then 9. So, okay, so there's my domains and there's my range. And this one's not a function because the x values repeat right there. All right, so number 4. Number 4, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to list the domain and range. All right, so the domain means the x values. And don't forget, this first one's your x, the second one's your y. So I I'm going to underline my y so that, my x's so that way I can see them better. All right, so let's put them, and they want them in order. So remember, the bigger the negative is, the smaller it is. And it looks like -8 is going to be my first one. Then -7. Then -2. Let's see, then 8 and then 9. All right, so none of these repeated. So this is a function. So we'll say yes. All right, so the next one is the range. So the range is my y values. All right, so I'm looking for the smallest one. Looks like -8 again. -4. 4. then 7, then 8. So those are my domain and range. This is my Y value. All right, so how do I do this on a graph? All right, so now this is a line graph. All right, so this is the one that we say is continuous. Remember, continuous is a line graph, okay? Means it goes on. All right, so the way to do this is you got to remember what domain stands for. Domain is X, and this is my X-axis. So if you look, it does tell you right there that this is the X-axis. Now, the way to do this is go this way, all right? So pretend like you're walking along here, and then all of a sudden you see a dot, and the dot you see is at -1. So my first number will be -1. All right, and if you look, that's an open. And so an open means just a less than. All right, since we're talking about domain, we're going to use the letter X, and then we're going to use less than. We always use less than. So now I'm here. I see that dot. So now I'm walking, and then I hit it again at 5. But this time it's a closed. So we're going to put an equal to, and then we're going to put 5 there. All right, so now let's do the range. Remember, range is the Y. So we're going to go from bottom up. All right, so I'm going from this Y-axis. I'm going up. And the first time I see a dot is when Y is 0. This is 0 right here. So I see it right there. So my first one is going to be 0. It is a less than, and it has a bar because that is an open. That's a closed. And then I go higher, and it looks like it's at +4. So I'm going to say range is Y, because that's what range is Y. It's a less than. This one's not an equal to, because that's an open. And then we said it's at 4. So there's your domain at that one. Now, if you were to find out if this is a function or not, you could draw the vertical line test and draw a line straight down. And if you notice, every time I draw my line straight down, I only touch the drawing one time. So that would be a function. All right, so let's look at this one. This one is the same thing. So we're looking for a domain, which is my X value. So I'm going to start right here on the X-axis. And like I said, if you can ever remember, they usually have an X right there to tell you where it is. So pretend like you're walking. We always go this way. So I'm pretend like I'm walking. And the first thing I see is this dot is the first one. So it's at -2. So my domain starts at -2. That is an open circle. So it's going to be just a less than. Remember, domain means X, so I'm going to put an X right there. We're going to have another less than, because we always use less than. Now we're going to see how far it goes. So once I go there, I keep walking, and then look, it ends right here at 5. So my other one is at 5. All right, so now we're going to do range. Excuse me. So range, remember, is your Y. So you're going to go start from the bottom, go up. So if you go here, the first one I see, the closest thing is a -3. Now, just to make sure you understand this, it is possible that you may have a line lower than the dot. And so whatever's the first thing you run into, whether it be a little line or a dot, that's what you have to claim first. In this case, the dot is the lowest at -3. So we're going to put -3. We're going to use a less than. It is an open, so we don't have to mess with that. Range is a Y. All right, then we're going to put an equal less than again. And then we're going to keep going, and then it ends at 2. So we'll put a 2 here. And that is also an open, so that one would be it. If I was to draw a line here for the vertical line test, this would fail the vertical line test, because if I go here, if I can draw straight, I'm trying to draw it straight. If I draw straight, I'm going to hit it more than one time there. See how you hit the line more? So this would not be a function, okay? It's the way we're drawing it, the way the line touches. So if it touches it twice, this would not be a function. Number 7, all right, number 7 is a function notation one, all right? And remember, we talked about this in class. We use, so remember, when we have f of x equals y, remember, this is the same thing. Whatever's inside the parentheses is your x value, okay? So when you have f of 0, like right here, they're asking to find the y value. They want to know what's the y value. So I'm going to go where x is 0, because look, x is in the parentheses, and so x means it's 0. So I'm going to go where x is 0. Here it is right here. So this is 0, and I go up till I touch the line. It touches it right here. So I need to know, what is the y value at that point? Well, we just get lucky. It's on the y-axis anyway, and it's a 2. So my answer here would be 2. Again, if x is 0, so you go where x is 0, you go up where it's 2, and so my answer here would be 2. All right, so what about f of 2? So we're going to do f of 2. So f of 2 is when x is 2. So I'm going to go where x is 2. It's right there. I'm going to go up. I touch it right there. Now, I want to know what the y value is right here. So I go this way, and you can see that y is 4. All right. So again, x at 2. You go up till you touch the line. It's right there where this dot is. And I want to know what the y value is at that right there, and it's 4. Now, if you look at this one has f of x equals -3. And remember, f of x equals y. All right, so -3 is y. All right, we want to find the x value. So they're telling you the y is -3. So I'm going to go where y is -3. Remember, the y is down here. So I'm going to go where -3. And then I'm going to go over here, and I see that dot. And then I'm going to go up to what the x value is. And the x, and mine's a little bit crooked, but you can see the x value is really 4. So x equals 4. Now, you look at the next one right here. It says f of x equals 4. All right, so f of x equals 4. It's a terrible 4. 4. So I'm going to go where y is 4. All right, so y is 4 right here. See it? This is where y, see y, it's 4. And I'm going to go this way. I see the dot. Now I'm going to go straight down and see, oh my gosh, I'm going to see where it is on the x-axis. And you can see it's 2. So my x answer here is 2. It is possible that you could have 2 answers sometimes. So kind of pay attention to this. You could have 2. So if I said, what if y was 2? Then you would say x value could be 0 because there's 0 here. And if y is 2, then I could have something here and I could have a number here. So pay attention to see where it is possible that you could have 2 answers for x. All right, this right here, this side here, they want you to label the x and y intercept. Sorry, my throat's messed up. The x-intercept is where our line crosses the x-axis. So this is my x-intercept. The y-intercept, of course, is where my line crosses the y-axis. All right, they want us to find the slope. All right, so this one's kind of messed up a little bit because it's kind of hard to see with the lines not showing up on the camera. You may not be able to see it very well. So anyway, what you do here is you use, when you're looking for the slope, you want to use rise over run. And most students know this pretty well because they've been doing it for a while. All right, so rise means you go up or down, or you go, and run means you go across. If you go up and down, up is positive, down is negative. Go right, positive, left, negative. All right. So how do I find this? All right, so what I want to do is find, and like I said, this one's a very difficult one because you can't see the grids in the paper very good. So I'm going to try to use my, try to figure this out. I'm going to try to figure this out here. Let's see, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think I found one. Okay, so I think this is one right here. So we're going to take this right here, and I'll do it in a different color. So we're going to take this point here. We go down 1, down 2. So we went down 2, and then we go over 1, 2, 3. So we went over 3. So my slope here would be 2 over 3. That's my slope, rise over run. Now, I went down 2, so that makes it a -2 over 3. Okay, so don't forget, if you go down, it's a negative motion. See right here? When you go down, it's a negative motion. If you go left, it's a negative. All right, so there's my slope. Now, the question asks you, write a linear equation in slope y equals mx plus b form. So we're going to take y equals mx plus b. All right, we need to find the slope, which we have right here. So we're going to write that in, y equals a -2/3 x. And now b is my y-intercept. So we got to go here to find the y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is where my line crosses. It looks like it's at +1. So we're going to put a +1 here. And this right here is my equation for the line that's right next to it. That's it. All right, number 10, we're asked to find the, to draw a continuous or discrete graph. It doesn't matter which one we use, but let's just go ahead and draw one. So I'm going to put a line here, okay? So this is a line graph. Remember, a line graph. So we call this a continuous graph. We remember when a continuous graph, we use the symbols less than when we're doing the domain and range. All right, so we use the domain and range when we use a line graph. I'm trying to make it where you can see it better. It doesn't want to get size where I want it. Let's try this. There we go. That's probably better. All right, now for a discrete graph, so if you remember a discrete graph, the word D is the same thing for dots. All right, so a discrete graph is just a graph that has points, and it can look like anything. I mean, it can even look like a shape. If you don't connect the dots or anything, they're just dots. So this is a discrete graph. This is usually displayed by an ordered pair, like X and Y. There's no less than symbol. All right, number 11. Number 11, you are to graph this, and then you're supposed to find the domain and range. There's a couple of ways we could do this. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this. This here is my slope, and this here is my y-intercept. I like to start, we start with the y-intercept. It's a -2. So this is my y-intercept at -2. My slope, which is 1/2, this is my rise over run. So it's a positive, both are positive. Watch this. I'm going to go up 1 over 2, put a dot. Up 1 over 2, put a dot. Up 1 over 2. All right, so there we go. And then I'm going to draw my line. So there's my graph. All right, so I graphed the function. Now, you can put this in a calculator. All right, so I'm going to show you how you can do it in a calculator, or you can do Desmos. I'm just going to show you the calculator because I happen to have one on me. All right, so if I have a calculator, I'm going to turn my calculator on. We want to hit the y = button right here. All right, and I'm going to clear this. And we're going to put this equation. Now, remember, f of x is y. I mean, that's the same thing right there. Again, if you know how to do this in Desmos, you can do the exact same thing in Desmos. I'm just using a calculator. So I'm going to put 1 divided by 2. That's 1/2 right there. That's right there. I'm going to put the letter X. My letter X is right here. See where this little button here right next to the green one? So if I hit this button right here, that puts the X in there. Then I'm going to say subtract 2. All right, now, if I graph it, it should look very similar to what mine looks like. You see how it kind of goes below the right here, just like that? Now, to see the table, and we're going to kind of cheat a little bit, we have to know these words, and we're going to explain this in a minute. We want to see the table. So we're going to hit second, this little blue button right here, and graph. If you look right above the graph, it says table. So we hit that. Oh, I forgot to change something earlier. Let me go in and change my window. So ignore this part because I haven't done this yet. All right, second and table. All right, so there we go. All right, so you ready? All right, so now what I can do is you need to know what domain and range is. Range is my y value, okay? Domain is my x value. So it's saying x is, so these are my x values. So at -2, so I'm going to go find on my calculator -2. So I can hit the button up to go to -2. And so my answer is 3. So my first answer for range is -3. All right. Now I'm going to look for 0. So 0 would be -2. You see it right here. I'll drop the window down. See 0 and it's -2. So over the next number is -2. All right, then it says 2. So I'm going to go where x is 2. So x is 2, and my answer is -1. Looks like it's a pattern. If you were to guess, you probably think the next one's going to be 0. So let's look at it. 4. I'm going to go to 4, and we're going to look at 4, and we're predicting it's 0. And look right there. It is 0. So this is my range. Whoops, don't make it look like 10. So that's my answer for that. And if you look, you probably will see -2 is right here. If I go down, look, go to the line 1, 2, 3, and look, I'm off a little bit, but that's where that is. If I go to -2 is right here. I'm sorry, 0. If I go to 0, look, it's right there. And if I go to 2, that's right here. It goes right here. Looks like -1. I'm just, my line's off. And then 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Look, it's at 0. All right, so it fits perfectly. All right. So here we go. We're going to do arithmetic sequences. All right, I'm going to use this paper to help so I have lots more room. All right, so here we go. This is 12a. All right, so we have an equals a1 plus n minus 1 with a d. Now, you could write it as this as well. I wrote it in my class this like this. It's the same thing. All right, d is still going to be distributed to both of them. It doesn't matter. All right, so here we go. A1 is my first number. So if you see this, you see the little 1 there, that means, hey, that's your first number. And remember, we've got numbers in a pattern. This is what this is all about, numbers in a pattern. So A1 is my first number. All right, if I had an A2, that would be my second number. All right, if I had an A3, that would be my third number. All right, so let's look at our numbers. We have 3, and then let's make a little table so we can see it really good. And I accidentally, out of habit, put X and Y. This right here is my N value. This Y is my AN value. All right, so my numbers are right here. My first number is a 3. So I'm going to put my first number's a 3. My second number is 7. My third number is 11. And then my fourth number is 15. So anyway, my first number all right, so the way I find this is now I look at this equation here. This is the same thing as Y. So A1, which represents the first number. So I go to the first number is a 3. See it right here? So I'm going to say AN equals 3, all right, plus, all right, D is my common difference. All right, so that's what that means, common difference. That means what is the difference between those two? So 7 minus 3 is 4. All right, 11 minus 7 is 4, and 15 minus 11 is 4. So you could ask yourself, what do I add to 3 to get 7? 4. What do I add to 7 to get 11? 4. What do I add to 11 to get 15? 4. All right, so my D is going to be 4. It's a positive 4. That's why we're going to leave this plus here. Then we're going to do open parentheses N minus 1. We won't touch that yet. We're going to. Now, if you look, you have a parentheses, and you should know that you're supposed to distribute, okay? This is a letter in it. So you're not going to do anything to this first. You're just going to distribute. So we're going to take positive 4 and multiply it to n. So it's 4n. Then we're going to take 4 and we're going to multiply it to -1. That's a -4. Okay, see how this works? Be very careful in this part. All right, and I'm going to leave the rest of it the same. AN equals 3 plus. All right, now we're almost there. We're almost done. Watch this. So AN equals, we'll always, if you notice, there's only one letter, and it's N, and there's a 4 on it. This will always happen. You'll always have one letter with a number on it. So just write it first. So we'll say 4N. Now, then you'll always have 2 numbers that'll be left over, and you're going to either add or subtract them. So if you look right here, I got 3 right here, 3 minus 4, that's a -1. Now, how do I find the 38th number that they want me to find? Well, there's a couple ways. This represents your N value. So I'm going to put 38 where there's an N. And I'm going to multiply these two. And when I multiply these, I get 152, and we're going to subtract 1 from it. And so when I subtract 151 minus 1, my answer is going to be N equals 151. So my 38th number, so if I keep going like this, 5, then say it's 19, then 6, and saying that's 20, let's see, that's 19, 23. If I keep going for 38 numbers, my 38th number will be 151. And that's how you do that one. All right, so let's look at B. All right, so we're going to do B. All right, same situation. Here we go. Table, I'm gonna go ahead and make my table, X and Y, which you know really this is N and your A little n. All right, so we're gonna put my first number is -5. My second number, negative, oh my gosh, I put them in the wrong spot. Let me redo this. My first number is -5. My second number was -7, and you can see my third number is -9. All right, they want us to find the 71st number. All right, so here we go. We're going to use the same equation that we've been using. And I'm going to write it just like they have it on the thing here. All right, so here we go. AN, what's my first number? Well, my first number is a -5, so A1 will be -5. All right, then we're going to put a plus here, and then N minus 1. And my common difference here, if I look at it, it's going to be a -2. If I took -7, or think about what do you do to -5 to get -7? Well, you put -2. All right, a -5 and a -2 give me -7. A -7 and a -2 give me -9. So my common difference is a -2. All right, now I'm going to do what I've been doing before. Remember, I'm doing this because in case you distribute the -2 to everything. So this will be a -2n. A -2 times 1 is a +2. So you have AN equals a -5. I'm just bringing that down. All right, again, it's just like we did before. AN equals, we bring down the 2n first because it's not going to have anybody to do with. And then you got -5 right here, -5 and +2. That should be -3. Now, how do I find the 71st number? Well, I take my -2, I multiply 71 to it, and then I'm going to subtract 3. So if I take -2 times that, that'll be 2. That'll be 142, right? And then I'm going to subtract 3, which subtract 3. So if you have 145, -142, and a -3, your answer is going to be a -145. So that's how we do B. That's for the 71st number. All right, so let's do C. All right, so C is right here, okay? So we're gonna do C, same thing. I'm gonna go ahead and make my table, X and Y. This is my first number is a 4. My second one is 11. My third one is an 18. And my fourth one is 25. All right. So what's my pattern? So if you notice, these is +7, this is +7, and this is +7. So my common difference, my D is +7. So here we go. We're going to fill in the equation. AN equals A1 plus DN minus 1. All right, so my A1 is going to be, what's my first number? Well, my first number is a 4. You can see it right here. It's a 4. So we're going to say 4. And then my common difference is a 7 plus. So we say 7 minus 1. So AN equals this. Then what do? I distribute. So I'm going to distribute. So it'll be 7N. Take the, multiply that, -7. So AN equals 4 plus. All right, again, it's the same song and dance. This is what I keep saying. We leave the N, put it first, and then you got to watch out. You got a +7, +4 and a -7, so it's a -3. So how do I find the 50th number? You can see right here, it says 50th number. So we put a 50 in where the N is. And then we're going to multiply it by 7 and subtract it by 3. So 7 times 50 is 350. And we're going to subtract 3 from it. So my answer should be 347. So my 50th number will be 347. All right. Here's one. We did this in Desmos. All right. So we're just kind of doing this. This is f of t. All right. F of t. equals 2t plus 1. All right, we're going to, if you look at this first one here is -3. All right, so -3, there's two ways you can do it. You could put this in the graphing calculator as y equals 2x plus 1. You could put it in there and then look at the graph at the table and you could get it. All right. I think that's the easiest way to do it. You can put it in Desmos like you learned in class, where you type it in just like this in Desmos, and then you type it in just like this on the frame below it. All right, but let me show you something. I'm going to go ahead and use Desmos, use the calculator again, because I find that to be the easiest. Or you can just plug them in, okay? You can do it this way if you want to. All right, this is the X value right here. So if I have this here, or in our case, it's actually the T value. And so we can put this number in for T. So I'm just showing you 2 minus 3 plus 1. You multiply 2 times the -3, that's -6 plus 1. And so T, F of -3 is going to equal a -5. That's how, I mean, that's our answer right there. All right. Now, you can also put it in a graphing calculator or Desmos. Now, you should have learned Desmos, but I'm going to go ahead and show you, since I don't have Desmos on me right here in front of me, I'm going to do the calculator because I can show you that way as well. All right, so if I did this, I would put this as y equals, so it'd be 2, instead of t, we're going to put x, and then plus 1. Then watch this. I'm going to go to second and table again. All right, now watch this. My first one was -3, so I'm going to go where x is -3. If you look, what's my first answer there? I'm going to try to zoom in so you can see a little bit better. Look at what my first answer is for t is -5, and then we get -5. All right, so now b, x is 6. So I'm going to go where x is 6, go here, and look what my answer is. Well, I went too low. The next answer is 13. So this guy will be 13. And then if I go to this guy right here, oh, look at this one. This one's saying, hey, t of f of t is -9. So they're saying y, remember, this is the same thing as f of x equals y. So my y value is a -9. So if I go to where I find my y value is a -9, so if you notice, these are going in positive direction, that's negative. So I'm going to go back up. I'm going to look for where y, now you got to make sure you do this. I do this all the time. You got to go to the x side. Go here, that's -7. Look, there's -9 right there. So I know this 9, so t, or we can call it f, is going to be -5. So this answer here is -5. So x equals a -5. Again, you did this in Desmos, and you can just type it in just like you see it, and you find the answer. Okay, that's the end of my Unit 2 review. If you have any questions, feel free to contact your teacher. Remember to watch the videos. I mean, hopefully you're watching this video and hopefully it helps.